It is 2953 of the Third Age. Erebor has been reclaimed. Sauron has fled from Mirkwood into Mordor to begin his pursuit for the One Ring. And the last meeting of the White Council has tasked Gildor Inglorion with assembling a fellowship to stop Umbarian pirates from assembling ancient artifacts from a Second Age prophecy. Join the players of this Adventures of Middle-earth Dungeons & Dragons campaign as they unravel the mysteries of the prophecy. Welcome to Arda in Part 1 of the Inglorion Bastards trilogy, Search for Tol Arasea.
Welcome to episode 15 of the Inglorion Bastards campaign, Search for Tol Arasea. This is another one of those recap nights where we have one of the, I guess you could call them the cast members, but the players from the Adventures in Middle-earth campaign. With us tonight is my brother Christian. He played the character named Angolan. So welcome to the podcast, Christian.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And in full honesty, we actually recorded this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I lost the audio file. So we're doing it again. I have a few questions for Christian tonight, mostly about his character and his experience in the campaign, and we'll just talk about these things, and maybe give the listeners a little preview of things to come. So I guess the first question I have for Christian is, I might throw him for a little bit of a loop here, but what was your experience with Tolkien before you came to play this campaign with us?
Yeah, so I think I was kind of maybe middle of the pack in terms of the players and the DM that we had as far as knowledge. I had read The Hobbit and the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I had seen all the films as well, but I hadn't really dove into like the Silmarillion or some of other Tolkien's, other works. And some of the appendices and such, but so I had a pretty good knowledge base, but a lot of what we were, picking up with in terms of like the main plot line in this, I had only kind of touched upon in the reading and the films that I had seen, and was getting a lot bigger look at it now. So. And
those things that you're talking about were, I'm guessing, like probably more of the specifics about the Seeing Stones and.
Yeah. So yeah, like obviously, those things are mentioned in the books and the films, but we really got to dive into like the backstory and the lore, and I think the Silmarillion touches more on a lot of that, but I hadn't gotten to pick that one up.
Yeah. So. And that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a nice foundation for the campaign, at least in terms of this first part that kind of takes place in Middle Earth proper, right? So what made you pick an elf of Mirkwood as your character?
So I had done a couple campaigns with you, not Lord of the Rings campaigns already, and I had done kind of the basic, wizard or fighter or just a regular D&D class. So I wanted to kind of make a character that was different in all aspects for this campaign. So what I came up with was this wood elf scholar, and as we know, the elves are very agile and very elegant. And in terms of combat, the scholar was not super useful. I kind of had to be creative with how I used him, but I also wanted to make his personality different than most elves. He's very kind of awkward and gangly. He still has, that elven agility, but it's just like, maybe the kid that's kind of a social outcast in high school or whatever, but, bumbly, kind of goofy, and I just thought it was a cool way to play an elf, kind of throw the rest of the players off when they met Angolan and let them adjust from there. But I wanted to do something different for sure.
So you mentioned he was a social outcast. Now that could have had something to do with an event from his childhood. Is that right?
Yeah. So we kind of put, it was, part me, and then you helped me kind of shape what I wanted to do with him, and we kind of had that he had grown up and had lost his family very young, so he was kind of taken under the wing of one of Thranduil's top advisors and scholars, and he had had an experience out in Mirkwood with a creature of shadow of sorts, a very powerful, very old creature. It wasn't necessarily an attack, but it really changed and shaped him and kind of pushed him into an obsession about the dark forces and magics of Middle-earth, and he kind of, from that moment forward, spent his entire life searching for shadow lore and dark magic and secrets that unlock that stuff. So.
Yeah, and we will touch more on that here in the next few episodes, where the characters start to travel through Mirkwood, and some of that your knowledge base and your experience in the past, your character's experience in the past, comes back in traveling through there. I don't want to give too much away now, but a part of this experience and a part of this Angolan's personality actually contributed to him, in this obsession, contributed to him being exiled from the kingdom. Isn't that right?
Yeah. So it was kind of, he had this in his formative years, quote unquote, and this obsession kind of grew, and he started having social issues, and then he was getting into things that he shouldn't have access to, and asking questions that he shouldn't have been, and basically it just got to the point where his people had enough of it and kind of sent him on his way. And in a way, he had learned what he could where he was, so he was okay with this sort of, exiling from his home to go out and search for this knowledge. So really kind of put his character on a path that, I think he would have probably ended up on anyway. But, when you're exiled from your home, there's still a sense of sadness and longing for it, ultimately. But
so now Angolan is on this mission. He gets roped into this mission by in Rivendell, I believe. He was sort of a guest of Elrond in Rivendell when the campaign started.
Yeah.
Go ahead if you want to talk. I mean, I'm not sure how much you remember about the origin session, but I believe the other party members sort of met up with you in Rivendell. Is that right?
Yeah. Basically, we talked about the origin session was a while ago, but basically the gist of it was that his idea was to stop in Rivendell. They obviously have vast knowledges about all the magics of Middle-earth, and his idea was to go seek counsel from relatives of his people and learn as much as he could. And like you said, it just kind of worked out that he had met another member of the group and kind of was pulled into this whole thing, and he kind of realized that this might end up furthering his goal, and he might be able to do some good in the world. So
he finds out, I believe Burin and Riken came through the mountain pass and met you in Rivendell, and you were a part of those conversations where it was discovered that the Inglorion pirates had made off with the Elendil stone. And I think that fed right into your character's sort of obsession to jump on board, and you became part of this fellowship. In fact, the only elf member of this fellowship, if you don't count Gildor and Inglorion, who put it together. And you find yourself sort of traveling with these people now, and on the outskirts of Mirkwood in Erebor, with the prospect of traveling back through Mirkwood. Any thoughts on that, or any thoughts that Angolan would have had about the last few weeks in his travels?
Yeah, well, I think especially setting back on course for his home with this group, and kind of it's kind of coming full circle for him. He has a chance to kind of show that yes, he might have gone the wrong way about his obsessions, but he is doing good in the world and making a difference, and he's on a path of doing something good for his people and the rest of the people of Middle Earth. So I think that's kind of special for him, and just the fact that also he never really fit in his home, and he finds this weird group of individuals from all over Middle Earth, and really they become like his new family or his new home throughout the course of the campaign. So I think that's definitely satisfying for him, and you're starting to see that at this point in the campaign. He's starting to get along with a lot of his fellowship members a lot better, and people are starting to realize his quirks a little bit.
So let's step away from Angolan and let's talk in terms of Christian. So tell me, so far in the campaign, and again, this is kind of, we're looking back on the campaign, which we did probably about a year ago at this point. So what was your favorite part up until this point? And of course, the next question will be, what's your favorite part coming up that the listeners have to look forward to? But let's start with that first question. What up until this point? What was it starting off in Bree? Was it the Hobbit turning red with the poison potatoes or whatever he ate? Was it traveling through the mountains? Was it discovering the lost Fane, the Temple of Durin? Was it, traveling across the river into the Withered Heath, battling the dragon, discovering some of these artifacts after you captured the or defeated the Umbarian Corsairs? What was it so far?
Yeah, so you mentioned so many things, and there's so many different ways to answer that question. I think as far as the story goes, I really enjoy, you had mentioned the Hobbit ingesting the poison when we were potentially being sacrificed to the river goddess.
Yeah, the river maiden.
I really enjoyed that dynamic of just like because the group was so fresh at that point, just the dialogue and like the uneasiness between the group, and everyone's trying to figure out their footing and get out of the situation. So I really liked that whole little session there. And as far as like the lore goes, as from like a Tolkien nerd, I remember there's one point that you're talking about the Arkenstone, and how you kind of interpreted the Arkenstone to be one of the jewels of the dwarfs, and how that each tribe of dwarf had a similar stone that was kind of the physical embodiment, I guess, of the creation of the dwarves. And I do have to throw in there, I know we were stepping away from Angolan, but my favorite moment of the campaign as far as Angolan goes is he's been super goofy the whole campaign and like real awkward, and we get in this combat situation, and I just decided that I was going to try and run through everyone and slide off of this ledge and land on this one scout that was trying to go get more people. And I think I rolled like a 19 pure or a 20, or a critical 20, and we had this really awesome moment with Goofy Angolan looking like Legolas from the movies, running through and just absolutely destroying this guy, and everyone in the group's kind of jaw dropped. They were like, "What? Where did that come from?" So
that's right. I think that was
a satisfying moment.
If I remember right, that was at the Battle of Rue Limdal, and at the when you guys were helping out the Coldfell army.
Yeah, we were flanking, I think, for him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay,
and that was a fun moment.
So looking forward, without giving too much away, is there a particular area of Middle Earth, or a group of NPCs or people that they might know from the books or the movies that they have to look forward to?
Well, there's definitely some good things that you put in there. Gonna run into the Blue Wizard at one point, so that's a really cool moment. I think the coolest thing from this particular part one of the trilogy that you're doing here, I think the character that I enjoyed watching his arc the most was Riker.
Riken.
Riken. Sorry. Yeah, he went through the ringer, man. Like from day one to the end, it's just like such a crazy transformation. And I think that Josh played him like there's that one guy in D&D that can always just stay in his character, and he just perfectly plays it to, no matter what you throw at him, you're like, I'm gonna rile him up here and get him going. But no, it's like he played that character perfect, and he went through so much, and I just think the arc of that is like textbook beautiful D&D stuff there. So I think keep an eye on his character for sure.
Yeah, and that, and some of that will be coming up very, very soon. And Josh, actually, for the last couple of sessions that the listeners have been, if they have listened to, I think, episodes like 11 through 14, Josh was actually out, but we had other people playing his character. But yes, he will be back in episode 16 playing Riken, and yes, his character definitely transforms quite a bit through trauma.
yes, just awful trauma, and he weathers it like a beast.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all I have. If anything else for me or the listeners before we let you go?
I'm good, I think. Odds are you're going to lose this again, and we'll have to do a third one, so I'll prepare for that one as well.
All right, well, even if that's not the case, maybe we can have you back in either part 2 or part 3 of the trilogy.
Yeah, I would love to come back and talk to you guys. There's some big moments coming up, so we could do some color commentary for that. So.
All right, well, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
Though this marks the end of the episode, the road goes ever on. Until next time, join us at longwinded.one and consider giving us a review on Apple Music, Spotify, or really whichever platform you choose.